This video tutorial will explain the basic rules of naming alkane, the first one in the family of hydrocarbons. As you can see over here, this table, we should memorize it. So if I'm naming an alkane made up of, let's say, 3 carbon, I will name it as propane. I will end it with ane. If I am naming a hydrocarbon, an alkane with 4 carbons, I will name it as butane. 7 hydrocarbons, 7 carbons, I will name it as pentane. So we will use the suffix ane. Now, anytime we are naming a substituent to the main parent chain, the substituent termination will be "-ile" instead of "-ane". So we will give some examples on the next slide. Also, you need to remember the below prefixes. So if I am naming, and we use these prefixes to name substituents, if I have, let's say, 3 substituents made up of the same number of carbon, I will use a tri. If I have 2 substituents of the same number of carbon, I will use 2. Let's start and begin with the first basic examples of naming alkanes. You should know that CnH2n plus 2 is the general formula of an alkane. N is the number of carbons. So for example, in this one I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is C7. H7 times 2, 14, plus 2, 16. So this one will be C7, H16. So let's now begin with the rules. Step number 1, identify the longest carbon chain, that is called the parent chain. This is the longest carbon chain made up of 5 carbons. Second, identify all the substituents, the groups appending from the parent chain. As you can see over here, we have only one substitution to this parent chain. Step number 3, we need to number the carbons of the parent chain from the end that gives the substituents the lowest possible numbers. Now, since this substitution is in the middle, numbering this parent chain from left or right will always give it number 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, first, when writing the name of this alkane, we will name the substitutions. This substitution is made up of 2 carbon. So on the table previously, on the previous page, 2 carbon is ethyl. So you use the ending YL instead of ane. And this substitution is connected to carbon number 3 on the parent chain. So 3-ethyl. And we're done with the substitutions. Now we move to naming the parent chain, which is made up of 5 carbons. So we say pent. And since this is an alkane, it will end up with ane. The next example over here, again, step 1, identify the longest chain, which is called the parent chain. Identify the substitutions. So here I have 2 substituents. Number the carbon of the parent chain from the end that gives the substituents the lowest possible number. So if I number from the left or the right, the substitution in either ways are going to take number 2 and 4. And if I number it from from the other side, it will also take number 2 and number 4. Now, if there are more than 2 substituents, we will use in this case the prefixes, and especially if they are the same substituents. So here the substituents are methyl group made up of 1 carbon. So I have 2 methyl groups, so I'm going to say dimethyl. Now I have to mention these methyl are on which carbon, attached to which carbon number. It's attached to number 2, carbon number 2, and carbon number 4. So the name of this one will be 2, 4 dash di, because we have two same substituents, methyl. The main chain is made up of 5 carbons, so it will be pentane, and it is an alkane. The next example, the parent chain is this one. It is made up of 8 carbon. I have 3 substituents, 2 methyl, methyl, and 1 ethyl group. Now, if in this case we have different substituents, so we should list them in the alphabetical order using the base name. Now, I'm sorry. This substitution starts with M, it's methyl. This substitution starts with E, it's ethyl. And this one with methyl. Now, if I number from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The substitutions will be on carbon number 2, number 5, and number 7. If I number from the other side, I'll use different color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The substitutions will be on number 2, on number 4, which is lower than 5, and it is better, and number 7. So we will discard the numbering in the red color. So let's start naming in here. When I want to name, I will say I have dimethyl and I have 1 ethyl. But E comes first before M in the alphabetical order, so this will be 4. So this will be 4 ethyl, and then I have on 2 and 7, 2, 7. I have 2 substitution of the same name, so I will use the prefix di, methyl, and the parent chain made up of 8 carbons, which has the prefix oct, and this is an alkane. It will end up with ane. Thank you.